Hey guys, how you doing? As you hopefully know, November is Zelda month here on YouTube, and I'm going to be releasing a video every Wednesday of this month to celebrate. So today's topic is Zelda conspiracy theories. Or, just regular theories. Conspiracy sounded a lot cooler. Let's get to it! Alright, this first theory was one I actually really liked before Nintendo, released the entire Zelda timeline and ruined it for everybody. Nah, I guess the timeline isn't that bad. But enough sidetracking. On to the theory! So, you know how classic stories will have about 1 million different versions because different cultures give it a slight twist? Like, take Cinderella for example. There's a Greek version, a Caribbean version, a Mexican version, a Wild Western version, a Persian version, and so many more. It's kind of crazy actually, just how many versions of her story there are. I even found this one by a guy named Walt Disney. Why does that name sound so familiar? Oh yeah, it's the name of that guy Tom Hanks played in that one movie about Mary Poppins. Anyways, this theory basically asks the question, what if the legend part of the title is being overlooked? What if, just maybe, these are really just stories, passed down from generation to generation of the many different people of Hyrule? That would explain why there's so many reoccurring themes, items, and even sometimes straight up identical events that are supposedly taking place years and years apart. Ocarina of Time might be the classic Hylian tale of the story of the goddess's chosen hero facing off against the darkness. Twilight Princess's more sinister look and feel could be explained as a folktale passed down by a darker tribe in the Zelda universe. Been wondering why the Sheikah tribe was so prominently featured in Breath of the Wild? Maybe that's just their version of the story of Link, so they added themselves as a key part of his quest. There's really just one problem with this theory. Sometimes the games will reference each other in very specific ways, kind of like how at the beginning of Wind Waker they talk about the hero of time, or even in Twilight Princess they bring him up a few times. So while this might be fun and interesting to sit and think about, I have to say the timeline does make a little more sense. Even if they put 4 swords at the end of your favorite timeline for some dumb reason that you'll never understand! Alright, so here's a theory that actually has a surprising amount of evidence to back it up. But before we get into that, let me tell you a story. Once upon a time, there was a young boy who traveled into a dark woods to find his lost friend. The boy had heard stories of people who had entered the woods without a fairy and were lost forever. But he wasn't afraid. He had bent the laws of time itself and saved all of Hyrule. There was no way something as simple as a cursed forest would have any chance of stopping him. So he kept moving, forward and forward and forward and forward, until he could go no further. Then his mind began to wander. He dreamt of a strange land filled with danger, masks, and strangers wearing familiar faces. It was only after this incredible journey within his own dreams that the young boy finally came to accept his fate. He thought his story was over. He thought that the world would never require his skills again. He was wrong. Years later, he felt the call to arms again, but this time he wouldn't be the hero. No, he had a much different role to play. He would be a master, a mentor, a friend. That's right, young Link from Majora's Mask became the Hero's Shade from Twilight Princess. And the crazy thing is, there is a lot of evidence to back this up. For starters, look at his name, the Hero's Shade. Another word for shade is shadow, implying he sees himself as a shadow of his former self. He even says at one point in the game that he is filled with regret that he was never able to pass on his skills to the next generation. Now, why wouldn't he be able to do that? Because he died as a little kid in the Lost Woods. He also only howls songs from the games he appeared in. I mean, look at this line he says to Link. He is literally repeating something the Happy Mask salesman said to him back before he got all thin. That's right, you too can look as thin as our friend Hero Shade here by just taking 2 doses of wandering into a cursed forest to save your friend to only get lost and die a lonely, horrible death. Act now and you can get yours for the killer price of 999 rupees. But the strongest piece of evidence comes from one thing the Hero Shade says to Twilight Princess Link after teaching him a new skill. He says, "Those are only for one who carries the blood of the hero, one whose spirit is that of the sublime beast." Now let's look back at the beginning of that line and see if anything jumps out at you. The blood of the hero. He's literally telling us that only a chosen hero of the goddess can learn these moves. So how does he know them? The only answer is that he too possesses that blood. The blood of the hero. The blood of Link. The only problem is that I absolutely hate this. I mean, after everything Ocarina of Time Link does, and he dies all alone in the woods, I mean, he just deserves so much better, and it just irks me to think that he would have done all that and then died that way. You know what I mean? Okay, so I was flipping through my Hyrule Historia here, and apparently, yeah, they just straight up say he's Link. So, there's a few minutes of our lives we're never going to get back. Back when I was a young boy, I used to play a lot of Ocarina of Time. I would spend hours trying to beat the stupid forest temple. I mean, what kind of hallway is this? Why are you spinning? I don't understand. I don't understand. Anywho, there was one reason I went through all this crap, and that was for the one, the only, the beautifully pixelated Princess Zelda. Every single time I'd fail, I'd just think about how at the end of all this, I might win the heart of my one true virtual love. Yeah, there's really just, one teeny tiny problem. That's your sister, you creep! Now, guys, I know what you're thinking. Zaltrax, why do you have such a big head? I don't know. But I do know that Link and Zelda being siblings in this game isn't quite as far-fetched as you might think. I mean, for starters, they look like twins for crying out loud. Blonde hair, blue eyes. Plus, they both are imbued with the power of the Triforce, so maybe it runs in the family. But wait, Ganondorf also has a piece of the Triforce. So is Ganondorf their dad? No, probably not. Also, let's look at how Link even arrived at Kokiri Forest to begin with. Link was left in the forest under the protection of the Great Deku Tree. It is highly speculated that it was his mother who did this. Now, why would she abandon her son, the heir to the throne of Hyrule, in the woods to be cared for by a giant talking tree? Perhaps she has seen the destruction and chaos Ganondorf has planned for Hyrule, and knowing that Link wields the Triforce of Courage, hides him away before he too is discovered. Or maybe she felt it would be too dangerous to keep two pieces of the Triforce so close together. So they pulled a Skywalker and kept one child in ideal living conditions while just tossing the other one to fend for himself in a hostile environment.
Good job.
Now, if I'm being honest, I feel like this theory definitely has the least weight to it of all the ones we've gone over today. I mean, I guess it could be real, but I feel like it's mostly like what ifs and maybes and not enough like actual evidence from the games themselves. Which is perfect because it means little Jacob doesn't have to feel guilty about his hope for some sweet Link and Zelda romance. Keep dreaming, buddy. Alrighty, so we just have one more theory today, and that is whatever happened to the Guardians of Hyrule. Well, in order to find that out, you're going to have to tune in next week as I explain to you guys what my dream Legend of Zelda game would be. Trust me, this is not a video you want to miss out on. So in case you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and maybe comment down below some other Zelda theories that you like. But I know you might be sad that poor old Link got turned into a disgusting skeleton man for the rest of his days. But I promise I won't bring that up in a later video. Cheers!